Hi, this is Gary from Southeast Texas, and today I'm going to be talking about planting your onions. And this is when you plant them in the fall of the year. When we talk about onions down south, we're always talking about onion plants, and this here is a bundle of onion plants. There's about 75 plants in here. They also will sell what they call onion sets. They're little small miniature onions. You plant those and they grow bigger. That's mainly done up north. I don't know of anybody down south that really does it that much. You can buy it in like Tractor Supply or Walmart, places like that. But one thing you have to realize, well, the first thing you have to realize about onions, and this is just a humorous little story. When I was 22, 23 years old, I was giving a demonstration in school about soil conservation. And one of the ladies after came up and talked to me, she's a young lady, and she asked, she said her daddy said she needed help in gardening, and could I help her with gardening questions? Well, I'm 22, 23 years old, and I've gardened, but I'm no expert by any means at that time. I don't know if you ever get to be an expert, but I just asked her, I said, well, maybe, I said, what kind of questions are you having? And because as long as she's general, I could answer the questions. Well, she said, my daddy says I need help. He said, I planted the prettiest little row of onions with all the little white tops sticking up, and my daddy said I did something wrong. He said I needed help. And I get to thinking, white tops, onions don't have white tops. And then I realized that when she planted them like this, with the little, these are yellow, but white tops sticking up. So she planted them upside down. At that point, when I realized that, it took me about 5 or 10 seconds to figure that out. I smiled and said, yes, ma'am, if you have any questions, I think I can help. So that's the first thing is, this is the bottom. When you plant them, you need to plant them up about right here. Should be simple, but some people don't know. And I'm not making fun of the lady, she just didn't know. The second thing that you need to know is you have to plant the right variety. There's 3 types of varieties in America. You have the short day, which is grown down south. You have the intermediate, which is grown in the middle of the United States. And you have the long day onions. These onions are light sensitive, daylight sensitive. So these will start to bulb up when it gets, I think, around 10 to 12 hours of daylight. Usually we hit that sometime in late February, mid to late February. It will hit that and these things will start to bulb up. And what determines the size of your onion is how tall these tops are, would determine how big the bulbs are going to be. If you have a short top, you can have a small bulb. If you have a tall top, you can have a big bulb. But you have to get that growth on before they start bulbing. So if you had a long day onion planted down here, it's not even going to start bulbing until June, July. And they're not going to be able to handle the heat, so they're going to die. So they'll never bulb up down here. So that's one thing you have to remember. The 3 varieties I'm planting today. One of them is called Texas Legend. It's kind of a new one. It's a big 3 to 4 inch onion. The other one is and I think they're all those. It's a yellow one. The other one I'm growing is Red Creole, which is a red one. And then the kind of one that's been around for a while that Texas A&M I think put out is a 1015Y Texas Super Sweet. So it's known as being a super sweet onion. It's still an onion, but it's it's not. It doesn't have as pungent of an aroma as some of the other ones do. The way I do it is I will just make straight rows, and here I planted these. I planted them 6 to 8 inches apart. Now they will require fertilizer. I did put some water. You'll come up over here. I did put water in the bottom of this furrow so they have some water whenever they touch it, but it's not wet. I will go back and kind of seal it off with a little bit of water. For this whole 50-foot row, I put 4 gallons. So you're not putting a lot of water down, but you're putting down some. And then once you get rain, everything should be good. Once we do that, once you get up and growing, you'll want to fertilize on a kind of a regular basis every 2 to 3, 4 weeks, at least once a month. You'll be wanting to fertilize these to get them up and growing, because the bigger the tops are, the more they're going to grow. Most time they say you should plant these anytime from October 15th to sometime in November. If you order them, I got these in yesterday and I'm planting them today. Okay, you don't want to sit there and say, okay, I'm going to get them in on like a Wednesday. Well, I'll plant them this weekend. the longer they sit in that box, the more they're going to be stressed. So they're not going to die, but it's going to take them longer to start growing. If you go out and buy them in the store, sometimes they'll sell them like this in the stores also, and they'll be cheaper. But a lot of times you get them in January, and if you get them in January and you don't know it, and you pick them up 2-3 weeks later, and they've been sitting there, and they really go into shock, and it's going to take a while for them to start growing. And remember, they're going to start bulbing latter part of February. So if you get by them the latter part of January, this have 30 days to make the top to produce the bulb. So that's why I like planting them now, so I can get that top bigger, so I can have bigger onions. Now, if you're wanting smaller onions, it's not that big of a problem. But I have tried to plant them in the spring and just haven't got a good success rate. They do, like I say, they do like a lot of nitrogen fertilizers. You get to put out some nitrogen on them. And ammonium sulfate is one they kind of like. They also like to have some sulfur. But you know, they're not really hard to grow. It's just you have to put the fertilizer to them. You have to put the water to them. They do require water. Now, if you're going, talking fast again, if you're going to put them in a raised bed, okay, let's say it's a 4-foot raised bed, you don't need to put, I've got 20 inches between these rows. And the reason I got 20 inches between these rows so I can walk up and down them and I can weed out all the weeds. If you got a raised bed that's 4 foot wide, you can reach over and pick the weeds out. So in a raised bed, you'd want to put them about 6 inches, 6 to 8 inches apart, or you could put them 3 to 4 inches apart and then thin out half of them as they start maturing. When they get about this big, pull half of them, then you got area for that bulb to grow. Because if an onion grows and touches another onion, that's going to be a weak spot and it's going to quit growing. And there's, you know, I planted some that I had, set those down. I planted some that I had 2 of them together, and that's a mistake, because what happens is, you know, it'll grow out one way and out the other way, and in the middle is a weak spot, and it's going to rot faster. And you still don't get any more onion. It's still the same size as the onion it would have been if you just had one. So if you see one that you've actually planted 2 of, go ahead and pull one out. It's just going to inhibit the growth, and you know, it's not going to help you any. This is what I use to dig the furrow with, and it works really well. As far as weeding it, I use this, and it's a hoop hoe, and I also use a wheel hoe sold by Haas Tools, and it really works well. But you've got to get them early. You can't let the stuff grow up something like this. You've got to get it when those weeds are small, and you just, what it does, it goes up underneath it, it cuts the root, and like I say, you want to get it, you know, you don't want these weeds to get big. Onions do not like competition. And I guess the other thing, last thing I'll mention is I bought these from Dixondale Farms. I know Haas Tools also sell onion plants, and like I said, not hard to do, but kind of get an early start. They're going to need to be covered. I said one last thing because I'm like a preacher. They do need to be covered if the temperatures get down in the teens, or they will. Mine last year we got down to 12 degrees. They froze. The tops froze back and they had to grow back again. So it just set them back, and they didn't grow as big because of that. But anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. If you like, subscribe, and hit the like button and comment. I appreciate it.